and welcome back to my channel. It's been a bit since I've done a versus and a lot of you have requested Caliart. And if it weren't for you guys, I would have never known about Caliart. I've had quite a number ask for this brand. I have reviewed them, but I've never actually done a versus with them. So I figured I'd go ahead and try out Caliart versus Ohuhu. So first things first, I want to show off the marker. So this is the Caliart, and it's a white barrel with its name right here, and then the identifications for fine tip and broad chisel. And then it also has a sticker here that also lists the color of the name. You can't see it because it's really, really tiny print, but it says this color is baby blue, and then it has the identification of B204. And then this is our chisel nib, pretty standard. It's the usual chisel nib that I see on most alcohol markers. And then we've got the fine nib. Really, the style overall reminds me of Bianno. I don't know who makes these marker shells for most of the cheaper brands of markers, but it is very interesting to see so many similar shells. But anyways, so the Ohuhu, this is the bullet nib kind. So this is not the brush marker. I usually use brush marker, but it wouldn't be a fair comparison if I did brush markers versus bullet nib. So yeah, although I have heard Caliart has brush markers or just came out with them, but I haven't gotten a chance to purchase them at the moment. So Ohuhu is pretty much similar. It's not quite roundish, it's more ovalish. And then it's got a Ohuhu art marker, identification for the bullet nib and the chisel nib, and it does not have a sticker indicating what color it is on the barrel, just indicates the color number on the tops, and that's that. And then I have this here to do a quick blending test. I'm going to start with Ohuhu, and I'm going to take it from kind of this dark greenish blue color to a light blue. And I always try to use the chisel nib when blending because it just has so much more ink in it so it can blend better. And I'm just going straight from my darkest color to my lighter one. And then this is my lightest color. And there we go. And it was a pretty steady, even blend, as expected. And then I'm going to do the same thing with these four colors, which are as similar to the Ohuhu colors as possible. And as before, starting out with the darkest on the chisel nib. And the blending's pretty good on the Caliart, I'm not going to lie. And I think I was impressed last time too, when I did the review for them. It's a really smooth blend. So what I like to do with these verses is paint one of my drawings. So I did a line art digitally and printed it out on Express It blending card paper. And just like the others, I plan to do half Ohuhu and the other half Caliart. So I'm going to start out with her skin, and I'm going to do my dividing line right down the middle and get right to it. And I'm sure you'll notice that this is a kind of interesting character. I feel like it's definitely different than what I usually draw as far as strangeness goes. I feel like in a way she's the personification of breakfast. And if the look of the character gives you Lord Gris vibes, then good. I based a lot of the character off of inspiration from a lot of Lord Gris's artwork. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I'll provide a link in the description to her Instagram. She's an amazing artist who I've been following for quite a while. I feel like my style is very similar to hers in general. She draws a lot of concrete looking girls. So that's where I got the inspiration to do cracks in the girl's skin, which is why she has like these cracks in her face. I was kind of going more so for a porcelain doll kind of effect that was kind of broken. And I think I achieved that. Already I'm really surprised at the slight difference. And I really thoroughly tried my hardest to match the colors, and yet the skin tones are quite different, with Ohuhu having a more yellow undertone and Caliart having a more red undertone. Hopefully though, that ends up being the only major color difference. So I'm doing yellow eyes because I've really been into doing yellow colored eyes lately. So I figured I'd just keep up with the trend because yellow eyes are definitely going to go best with the color scheme here. Did some heart irises. I don't know, but I went ahead and I inked it because even though I did a perfect heart with the orange color, it just didn't look like you could properly see it. So I went ahead and I got like the smallest inking pen I could find and just outlined it. And I think it works. And this egg was actually the initial reasoning for this character. I wanted to draw a character with an egg on her head, very similar to the hat you can wear in Among Us. And so when I finished drawing the egg, I hadn't drawn anything much else except for like her face. And I was just like, oh, I could make her a breakfast inspired character. And that's basically what happened. Ooh, the color match on these is also really good. Absolutely seamless. Her hair is going to be turquoise in color, so I'm trying to make it look like the egg is see-through and you can see bits of her hair color coming through, but gonna be honest here, it's kind of looking a little grody. I'm gonna stop before it looks even weirder and just do the Caliart side. I'm sure it'll make more sense to look at when I do the color of the hair. That's the hope. That's the expectation. I'm gonna just move on. Anyways, okay. So now I think it's coming together. Now that her hair is colored, when looking at the egg on her head, it's like the mind can make sense of it now. I don't even know if I'm making sense right now, but are y'all getting what I'm saying? Like the egg white actually looks translucent on her head. That's the effect I'm going for. And I put orange slices in her hair because I love orange juice. It's definitely a breakfast staple, at least in my household. So far though, Caliart is performing pretty good, and I can really see why it's gaining in popularity because it's genuinely holding its own against Ohuhu very well. In my original unboxing and review of them, I believe I sort of casually brushed them off as just being a standardly good marker, and I didn't mean to be so whatever about that saying. But I review a lot of markers, and a lot of these less expensive brands tend to be very similar to each other, especially like I mentioned, the shells tend to be the same kind of shells as other marker brands, although the ink quality does tend to vary a bit from one brand to the next. So they're not complete copies of each other. I'm also reminded of the video that Jazza came out with recently about, well, not recently, quite a bit ago actually, about all the different marker brands that are out there as far as alcohol markers go. And it was a fiasco watching him go through all of the cheaper sort of marker brands that are out there because there are so many. It's a little ridiculous. But if you notice, a lot of them are kind of just the same exact marker, just with a different name. The whole thing though is pure madness, just watching him go through each one. And I kind of realized the same thing when I started getting asked to, hey, review this brand and review that brand. And I'd like check them out on Amazon and I'm like, I swear I have already checked this out. It's just a very odd, different name. Regardless though, I do still check out some of the marker brands because some do have better quality of ink, like I've mentioned 1,000 times this video, but it's just the truth. But really, I think the only big differences between the two brands would be the fact that Ohuhu has progressed further with replacing their product. So for instance, they recently have started selling individual markers, which is great because when it comes to these cheaper brands, you usually have to rebuy the entire pack just to replace one marker. And that's a little insane. And I know that soon Ohuhu will have the option for you to replace damaged nibs by just buying replaceable nibs on their site. And I just don't believe Caliart is at that sort of stage yet. Most of the less expensive brands don't have those options. And so I'm basically done. I just got to do the background. Trying to decide what color I want to do though. I'm kind of feeling yellow with a bit of orange, so maybe like a blend. I always get nervous around this point because blending in large areas really isn't that easy, but I guess we'll just hope for the best. Starting out on the Caliart side, and like before, I'm blending with the chisel nib, and it's important to work fast so that the ink doesn't have too much time to sort of dry and settle in. But at the same time, it's hard trying to fill in areas that have a border without going over that border and just looking like a hot mess. And right now I'm just doing tip to tip method. Just trying to work on getting that really seamless sort of blend. And I think that's about as good as it's gonna get, which is good actually. It's actually not as bad as I originally thought it would be. All right, Caliart side is done. I'm just sort of touching up a few areas, and that's that. All right, time for Ohuhu side. Okay, so I used my darker color first, and then going into my lighter yellow. I'm gonna start in the darker area and drag up, and then using the same tip to tip method to work on this blend here. And that's that. Both sides came out really well on the background. It does seem like the orangey color that I used in this area seems a bit darker than this side, even though these colors are really close to each other. So I don't know why such a huge difference, but again, I assume because ink quality is different. And so that's that. Both performed well in my opinion. I enjoy how both sides came out. And as always, I leave it up to you to decide which side you liked better and which you feel performed better. Personally, I feel they're very similar, right down to their pricing, with Caliart coming in at $19.49 for the 40 pack, which is about 48 cents a marker, and Ohuhu with the 40 pack coming in at $19.99, which is about 49 cents a marker. Let me know which you like best in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, maybe comment, like, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.